Example number 3. This highlights learning target 1.1c. And so working through this example, the first question is, what is the sum of the following numbers? Well, sum, if you recall from previous math classes, sum refers to the operation of addition. And so we're going to be adding the following numbers. But more importantly, what we want to learn is what classification these numbers are going to be. So let's take a look at the first number that we will be adding, and that is 1.25. Well, it has a decimal, so it can immediately narrow the classification into one of two sets. It's either going to be a rational number or it's going to be an irrational number, because those are the only sets that include decimals. The question then is, does 1.25 repeat or terminate? And in this case, it terminates. So that leads us to conclude that 1.25 is a rational number. Our second number, 3.83. Take a moment, see if you can determine what you think the classification of 3.83 should be. Excuse me. Okay, using the same logic as before, we know it's a decimal. We know that it does terminate. So that will lead us to the conclusion that we have a rational number that we are working with. So we have two rational numbers being added together. And so adding these together, we end up with 5.08. And so the classification of 5.08, correct, is a rational number using the same logic that we had before. It is a decimal, meaning that it could be either rational or irrational. 0.08 terminates. Therefore, we have a rational number. Looking at our last question, and this really highlights 1.1c, learning target 1.1c. What property of real numbers explains this result? So thinking back at all the properties that we have discussed, one in particular, that property was the closure property. And I would encourage you to hit your rewind button, go back, listen to the explanation of the closure property once again. But in summary, what that closure property says is that any operation, and in this case our operation was addition, performed on any two of the same set of numbers, okay? Numbers from the same set. In this case, our set that was being added in the same set that was being added was a set of rational numbers. And then the result, the closure property states the result, and we said another way that we represent result is with the equal sign, equals, the result equals a number contained in the same set. Well, the number that's contained in that same set is 5.08, and it is a rational number. So we use the closure property to show that two rational numbers added together resulted in a number classified as rational. And lastly, the addendum to the closure property was that it holds for all real numbers for addition and multiplication. And we have already verified that we're using addition because of the word sum. And so in this case, a rational number added to another rational number results in a number that is also contained in the set of rational numbers. So lastly, if we were to think about it, what type of number would you get if you summed any two rational numbers? Any two rational numbers. What type of number, what classification would this fall under? This would fall under the closure property, which tells us that any two numbers that are rational, that are added together, will result in a rational number.